Hi, so this recording is going to be for two things. It's going to be for the Macbeth final test and the Ender's Game final test. That will be in Module 15 and Module 7. So I'm going to use the Macbeth. Basically, it's a test just like your quiz at the beginning of the semester for the orientation. So you're going to go to the test in your folder, and you will, again, I have a teacher's view, so I'm going to click preview. You will click to take the test, to start now. There'll be a start button, and then you need to promise that you're not going to consult outside sources such as the internet, notes, people, the play, or other sources. You will not navigate away from this page because it will lock you out, and all unanswered questions will be scored as 0. If you come back to me and said, oh, I don't know what happened, but my test locked me out, well, I have to assume you navigated away from the page, and that is not allowed. So you need to make sure you are not navigating away from the page, and you cannot retake this test. And it must be finished in less than 60 minutes during in one single sitting. You can't stop it and come back. So if you take more than 60 minutes, it will time out. So keep an eye on your time. The first part will be literary devices. Now you might say, where do I learn about literary devices? That's not part of Macbeth. Well, it's part of English. And so you will find in Module 7 a study guide for the final test, and in Module 15 for the Ender's Game. And there'll be literary guide, and you need to focus on your literary questions. So I'm gonna, as I was saying, you may say, well, where do I find the literary devices, and how can I learn about literary devices? Because if you go to the study guide, as we were just in the process of doing when my computer glitched, it will say that part 1 is a 10-question multiple choice that you will identify the literary device in a provided line from the play. So I'll give you a line from the play, and you will have to, or novel if it's the Ender's Game, and you will have to identify the literary device that is used. You will be choosing from simile, metaphor, personification, imagery for questions 1 through 5, and alliteration, onomatopoeia, parallelism, and hyperbole for questions 6 through 10. Now you might say, but where do I find what those are? If you go back, if you remember from another video I made, I said this will come in handy in the About This Course folder in your English guidebook, English Student's Guidebook, and scroll down. Let it load here for a second. Scroll down to page 11. You will see literary terms. You will use this to study for both the Macbeth final examination and the Ender's Game final examination. Of course, that's not the final exam, but you will use this for the test, the final test for both novels, Macbeth being a play. So here, and I've even told you which ones on the study guide, which ones you need to study. So you'll use those to study for that. And then we're going to go back to, getting dizzy here with all the scrolling here. We're going to go back to the exam. Actually, we're going to go back to the study guide, Macbeth Final Test Study Guide. And the second part is character traits and fates. This section provides you with a list of 10 characters from the play. For each character, you must select the character traits that best describe them, as well as their ultimate fate, live, die, killed by, etc. So this has to do directly with the book, and you need to know the play or the novel before you answer those questions. And then the third section is you need to identify the speaker. So conducting a closed reading of the play and making an effort to annotate the literature will greatly help you on this most difficult part of the test. This section gives you 10 important quotes from the play, and you must identify the speaker. While reading each quote, think about what context situation it is set in, and which will help you narrow down the possibilities. Also, knowing the characters very well will also assist you in defining who is the speaker's voice and the diction and the attitude. There are 10 questions in this section. So there's a total of 30 questions. You have, I believe there's 30. I'm not sure how many is in this second section. So anyway, then when you're ready, that's the study guide. When you're ready and you've looked at your English Students Guidebook, you will go into the exam and click Start, and it will just give you the questions, and you will answer the questions. Again, you cannot use outside sources. You cannot stray away from the test. You cannot take more than 60 minutes, and you cannot stop and then come back to it later. So if you email me and say, it didn't let me do the last part of the test, I'm going to have to assume that you either took more than 60 minutes or you strayed away from it and went to a different website or, tried to look something up. That's just not accepted. So you must do it all in one sitting. And that is how you do both the Macbeth and the Ender's Game final examination.